Sara Giannozzi, our colleague for the World Bank, the youngest colleagues of the World Bank, who has been one of the backbone of the CGF, and also an excellent translator. Guys, I take also this opportunity to thank all the people that contributed to this event. Many things that you don't see were done by many people. I want to thank the people that are here behind us with the video, those that are in the back with the audio. I want to thank the people that contributed to this from the IDB, the CDB, Compete, the World Bank, especially the colleagues that put a lot of effort in this, produced papers that were distributed, and many other inputs to this event. And not only this, but to 12 national chapters. I can tell you this has been a journey, a wonderful journey. Thank you to all of you. And let's give the floor now to the youth.
Hello. Okay, so we've heard a lot during the last day and a half about how this or that had to be done for the youth and how the next generation should tell us what the direction is. So it would not be complete if we didn't give them a chance to actually speak for themselves. Many of them have been part of the national chapters. They've come this far, and we're really happy they were included. So they've been part of the policy-making process so far. Some of them we just met here in the Bahamas. They're in the College of the Bahamas. Yeah. They're very close, so they can share a chair, I hope, some of them. Anyway, so I just wanted them to give them a chance right now, in turn, to tell us what they, perfect, grazie Andrea, what they think about what it was like for them to be part of the CGF, and what they think is the direction to go, what the priorities should be, or any thought they'd like to share. Some of us, I'm sure everybody's very eager to hear you. Somebody wants to start. This is very informal, as you can see, sort of. There you go. Sorry, I'll be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Israel Mallet. I'm from Barbados, and most of you would not have seen me this time around because I've been in the back working with the social media with my various colleagues, especially from the College of Bahamas and my colleagues from Barbados as well. Being a part of the CGF has been a very hopeful process. It's been a very inspiring process, and what Françoise Clot said to start off yesterday with voice, hope, change, action, and accountability, for me that hits home because that is the essence of why we're here. We're here for action. As one of the quotes on the banner says outside, we already know what we need to do. Now is the time for action. So this is the time for action. And when we leave here, I think we should all think about the fact that as participants of CGF 2013, some of us participants of both CGF 2012 and 2013, we all need to think about the fact that as we sit in this room, we are all personally accountable for making this initiative happen. We are all personally accountable for what happens when we leave here, when we arrive in our home country. It doesn't end when we get off the plane at the airport. That's when it starts. We each have to look around the room, look for our regional counterparts in various countries, switch email addresses, make direct contact, make sure that when we leave here, this is a working session. This is a functional event. Not just that we've talked. I know, as many of you know, many in the region fear talk shops. We have the power to make this something more. We have the power to make this different. We have the power to make this live. That's in our hands. What are we going to do with it? That's the important part. So for me, I've already started to gather contacts. I've already started to talk to individuals. And talking is where it starts, yes. But in designing the Caribbean Growth Forum logo last year, one of the things that struck me and one of my hopes for it was to show the confluence of ideas coming into the Growth Forum and one common voice leading to action coming out. Let us have that common voice leading to action coming out of the Growth Forum now. Let us look around, look at the person next to us, look at those people in industries across the region. Yes, governments can shape policy, governments can make things work, but we also have to put our hands to the plow and make things work as individuals. If we do that, the region has had integration for the last 40 years. We have families across the region, we have businesses across the region, we have conglomerates, etc. We can do it. We put our hands to it, we can do it. We can make it happen. But we have to have the will. Our greatest weakness in the region, as was mentioned several times throughout this forum, is implementation. It's been mentioned several times. We have all the pieces of the puzzle. It's time for us to put our hands to the plow and put these pieces of the puzzle together. If each of us lays down one piece of the puzzle, what a great picture we can paint. That is what the Caribbean Growth Forum 2013 means. Let us, when we look back a year from now, let us say this is the start. This is the point in history that we look back and we see our region using the ocean between us as a glue rather than a divisive mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you. Israel? Is this work? Sorry. Israel, can I ask you to actually each one of you to introduce yourselves before, or you afterwards, now that who you are and where you come from? Just a couple of words.
Okay. All right, well, I think I did it, but my name is Israel Mallet. From Barbados, as I mentioned. What I didn't mention is that I'm a young entrepreneur in Barbados. I've been operating a graphic design and marketing business for the last 7.5 years. And that's why this means so much to me, because I can see linkages with entrepreneurs across the region that can happen. I can see linkages with strategic partners across the region that can happen. I designed the logo for the CGF. It went to the individuals at the IDB and Compete Caribbean. The banners were printed in Dominican Republic. They came here to the Bahamas. So as you can see, that's regional. That's across the region. We can do it. It's already happening.
Hi, my name is Albert Andal. I'm from Grenada. I actually work at the Cooperative Bank in Grenada. And my responsibility at the Cooperative Bank is small business development. I am responsible for all small business development in the bank. And I must point out, yesterday, the bankers were somewhat, I don't want to use attacked, but we were given the grace that we are normally given when we walk into the room. And I was listening to the plenary session in the afternoon, and it was heartening to understand and to see what the region is experiencing and comparing it to what Grenada is experiencing. And from a financial point of view, listening to Sir Dwight this morning and a couple of the other panelists yesterday, it's not difficult to say what we want to do. It's difficult to do what we say. So my thing coming out from this is, are we going to actually do what we are saying, or are we going to continue saying what we want to do?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elijah James. I'm representing Antigua and Barbuda at the Caribbean Growth Forum. I took part in the consultations back at home on the local level. I am representing civil society today. Youth on the Move, a local youth organization that's looking to advance the interests of youth across Antigua and Barbuda, and also my own NGO, Volunteers United, which is looking to build capacity within NGOs within Antigua and Barbuda and across the region. Now, the Growth Forum itself provided a great opportunity for civil society, corporate, and government basically to come together. A lot of times in our region, we tend to depend on government to really get everything done. But I'm of the firm belief that civil society, the citizens, youth, because we have the future to inherit, and as such, so we need to make sure that we play whatever role we can in ensuring that we can basically mold and draft and ensure that whatever it is that we want to see for our future, that we can actually make it happen today. So the Growth Forum has been a great opportunity for us to provide input into things such as access to financing. A lot of young people, we need homes, we need money to start our own business. I'm also an entrepreneur myself as well. And when it became time to start up, it was really difficult, borrowing from friends and families just to try to get money to get started, to get the business going. So I'm hoping that from the discussions that we had here, that a lot of the recommendations will be implemented so that young people across the Caribbean can basically play the role that we need to play in ensuring that we have the future that we have or we want. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adisten. I'm from Dominican Republic, and in Dominican Republic, I used to work with Alianza ONG. That is a network of nonprofit organizations. I apologize. I prefer to share my ideas in Spanish as an example of the diversity in the Caribbean. And thank you to our colleague who will help us with the translation. En estos 2 días en el Foro del Caribe,
In these 2 days in the Caribbean Growth Forum,
definitivamente que los planteamientos que han salido de este foro nos remiten a una especie de matrimonio, yo no sé si con amor, pero definitivamente un matrimonio entre el foro y la juventud.
during these past 2 days, it's been a great opportunity. There's been a marriage. I'm not sure if there's a marriage of love, but there's been a marriage between this forum and the young persons here.
Y digo que un matrimonio porque muchas de las propuestas que han salido aquí, especialmente las propuestas de mediano plazo y largo plazo, definitivamente deben contar con los jóvenes como actores.
It's always difficult because they continue talking and not waiting for you to translate it. That's not what she said, okay? I said it's a marriage because over these last 2 days, there's been a lot of ideas that came forward, and these ideas have been in the short term and long term. A lot of them would have direct impact on the youth.
Y aunque tenemos una representación aquí de jóvenes del Caribe, pero definitivamente que no podríamos decir que la juventud del Caribe ha estado significativamente representada en el foro y en las propuestas que han salido del foro.
Although we can see here that there's a representation of the youths, we cannot definitely say that there has been a significant proportion of youths represented here in this event or even in the forum.
Pero estamos en buen momento para comenzar.
But we are in good time to start this.
Muchos de los planes de trabajo para los próximos meses, los planes de rendición de cuentas, dicen que estamos comenzando y es buen momento para pensar en soluciones dirigidas a la juventud.
A lot of the ideas that came forward out of the meeting say that we are starting. A lot of the action plans say that we are starting, but we are in very good timing that we can involve more the young persons.
Y para pensar en esas soluciones dirigidas a la juventud, debemos integrar a los jóvenes a los diferentes clústeres y grupos de trabajo del foro.
And for us to do this, we have to think about starting to involve more of the young persons in the different groups or the different clusters of discussions.
Especialmente cuando hablamos de desarrollo de habilidades, de educación, de oportunidades para el empleo y de oportunidades para el emprendimiento.
Especially when we talk about the different types of opportunities. For employment, for knowledge, for education.
Y finalmente,
And finally,
yo quisiera retomar un pequeño cuadro que había en la sección sobre habilidades que hacía referencia a la ética.
And finally, I'd like to make reference to a scene that was made, declared earlier, in relation to abilities.
La ética.
Abilities of ethics, sorry.
Gracias. Con relación a la ética. Desde la juventud, nosotros abogamos por comportamientos más éticos en la administración pública y en los negocios.
For us as young persons, we are encouraging the promotion of ethics in business and in public operation.
La falta de ética nos hace más pobres y la pobreza quita oportunidad a nuestros jóvenes.
The lack of ethics have us in a serious position and it encourages poverty.
Y cuando hablamos de ética, gracias.
And when we talk about ethics,
Cuando hablamos de ética, quisiera también levantar la ética en el sentido de lo ambiental. Cuando hablamos de este foro de crecimiento, como juventud quisiéramos que al levantar la bandera del crecimiento en una mano, en la otra mano levantemos la bandera de la sostenibilidad. Sorry.
It's very difficult when they go more than 2 sentences. She said when we're talking about development, we have to talk about it in one hand, talk about development in one hand, and we talk about sustainability in the other hand, right?
Y eso en el sentido de cómo garantizamos un desarrollo sostenible, con inclusión, con respeto a nuestro medio ambiente, que es una de las grandes riquezas de nuestra región.
And how do we talk about a development, a sustainable development in our environment and in all different aspects?
Y para garantizar el desarrollo de nuestra juventud en nuestros países.
And how to guarantee our development of our youth in our own countries.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm also here. I'm not classified as youth per se, but I'm still pretty young at heart. My idea was I am very happy to have been here at this forum. I'm Angela Jackson, but I prefer to be called Idisha. I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I participated in the forum Logistics and Connectivity. I found, and I might sound a bit on the negative side, I'm happy for the involvement of the youth, but I do not think that we were involved enough in the whole process. Coming from the civil society perspective, I've been involved in the civil society movement in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I think that we are not as involved as we should be. Sometimes, for whichever reason, I think, not just in our country, but in many countries, that the governments or the bureaucrats, technocrats always see civil society as a threat and private sector as more their alliance. But any policies that any government around the world make has to be implemented or affects the lives of the masses, not just the bureaucrats, not just the private sector. And I think one of the calls I would like to make, and sometimes not knocking anybody, but for ourselves as young persons, to become more involved. We ask for involvement, and sometimes the opportunities are there, and we don't take up the opportunities. So I think that we need to have more civil society participation. Most of the presentations around the regions only mentioned 4%, 5%, 15% or 16%, I think was the maximum amount of civil society participation. I know we're talking about growth, and it's the private sector is generally the engine of growth, but in the private sector, there are employees, there are families in the communities where your businesses are. You need to have more involvement of civil society throughout the process. And again, I'm very happy that the young person here actually designed the logo, and I commend all of the young persons, the younger persons, for their participation and continue being the voice of the young persons. It's a hard task, but you have to encourage the young persons to be more active, more vibrant, and more productive. Let's use the social media that we love so much to do stuff that would encourage and promote growth in our region, and not just for commerce or chatting negative things. I think that is something that we need to look forward to. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy for being a part of the process.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ivana Gator. I am representing the College of the Bahamas, by extension, the College of the Bahamas Union of Students. I wrote some notes because I was not prepared to come up here and talk in front of you on stage, so bear with me. But I wanted to ask the question for you all to think of when you go home, when you get back from your flights, to focus on the creative economy, which is pretty much people making money from creating ideas, right? So I want you to think about what is your take on the role of the artists as it relates to economic growth in the region. The creative economy, I think, is powerful and a positive global force Together, artists, cultural nonprofits, and creative businesses produce and distribute cultural goods and services that impact the economy by generating jobs, revenue, and quality of life. I think that we can think about funding for creatives, that's education, projects, research, things of that sort. I'm so glad and I agree with everything that everyone has already presented about bringing more young people to such forums, because I think that clearly the proportion is what, 10% to 90, and I feel like we have a lot to say. I feel like we all have many ideas that we can contribute, and I think that you should all reconsider not just having a separate youth conference, but combining the two entities. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madison Hillhouse. I'm from the Bahamas. I'm also a young entrepreneur, much like Israel here. I started a multimedia company here in the Bahamas. What I liked about being here and a part of this experience is that it shows that I'm not the only one who's actually kind of thinking this way, like how we need specialized training here in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean, because I figured out what I wanted to do very late in school. When I went in high school, I studied something completely different. I completely dropped art. I'm going into graphic design and photography, but all through high school, I was pushed to think about being a lawyer or thinking about being a doctor, things like that, which was completely off from what I wanted to do. So I like this idea that we are showing the youth that there's more than just these types of jobs that we have to look forward to. In the future, there's other jobs especially, and I'm here also with Ivana Gator. I'm also part of the COB Art Club, and so when I think about this whole forum and everything, I really, really enjoyed being here. I heard about this very late, so I really enjoyed it because thinking back how hard it was finding out what I wanted to do, this makes me look forward to the future of the Caribbean and how we'll be able to compete with other countries in the markets. How we're gonna have more jobs, how we're gonna have more ideas from not only from your age group, but from my generation as well.
Okay, that was good, thanks. I am Justin Quinlan. I'm from Barbados as well. I am working with the social media, so if you see me on my phone, I'm actually not messaging, I'm tweeting. No. I am like Israel and my friend here, Madison. I am a business owner, very young at that. And I'd say I started my first company right out of high school at Harrison College. I found that there was a problem with the educational system, as Madison was just saying. It was trying to gear me to be an attorney or a doctor, but here I was, I wanted to be like Mark Zuckerberg. I wanted to have my own social media startup. And so I started to seriously and actively pursue that. Now, in doing that, in Barbados, mind you, even at the UWI level, I should say they aren't taught how to develop for native API. What that is that they don't know how to build an app for, specifically for the iPhone or Android. It's all self-taught. So to me, that's just an example of how far behind the Caribbean is, yet we are saying we are trying to, proliferate ICT, yes, internet exchange. We're looking to do broadband in communities and etc. But we still need to I think, equip the youth from an earlier age with training in new age technology. Now, so that led me to end up having to get my development done outside of Barbados, the logical place, India, so it's currently in development. And another thing I've faced is that we've had so much stress from agencies that were created, either quasi or government, to facilitate these innovative projects that, you know, entrepreneurship, ICT, social networks, anything like that, e-commerce. I don't even want to start on e-commerce in Barbados. But, so here I am. I'll just give you an example. I remember I had to pitch one of the bigger quasi firms in Barbados that were geared towards funding innovation for youth. So I walk in there now, and you know, I have a seat, I wait my turn, and I walk into this boardroom. I go into the boardroom, and I'm at the table, or I'd say, you know, a mixture of public servants and some private sector individuals and what's not. But everyone there is about 50, bordering 60 plus. So here's this kid at 19, and he's supposed to convince a board, many of whom don't even use Facebook, right? So he has to convince all those guys to give him, I won't call the figure, but to give him quite a bit of money. Obviously, you know, that did not work out. But you know, from there, it's not, you know, a complete sad story or whatever. Because I believe that if you really have the passion for something, you should pursue all avenues. And we were able to secure seed capital. That's why we're under development. My user interface is actually being developed by this guy. So when you see it, it will be Imogen Design Studios. And, you know, it forced us also, as I said, to look outside of the industry. Another thing I do, to show you now our manufacturing sector, another thing, but look at garment manufacturing, I find, in my country, where you have the bigger players, won't call their names, but they would import a shirt and it wouldn't have the sleeves. This is a loophole that I don't understand how it works. But they would import that, and then that comes in as material, and then when they assemble it by stitching on the sleeve, which is like that, they can retail it, you know, at whatever cost. These are the bigger guys. But people like me now, you know, I'm not saying that we should not support our manufacturing sector in Barbados, but I honestly believe that, and I don't believe in going to government for anything. I think government should just set policies. But I believe that there should be some facilitation for the smaller guy who cannot, you know, source, let's say, or who can source the material and then, you know, to put it together, to stitch it, to do whatever. So anyway, I was bringing in whole shirts, or looking to, and that hit me at almost 300%. So you have these guys, they have their cushions and what's not, saying that they're supporting the sector and whatever. So that makes you then look outside, and then screen printing, you have some problems, so then you had to look outside for that. So I think that the creative industry, you know, really needs some looking at as well. On the issue of social media, though, for the CGF, it has been a very interesting experience. We had quite a bit of feedback. We doubled or tripled our likes in a day or two, doubled, yeah, and some. So that just really shows that there is a place for the CGF, or for the CGF in the social media realm, and vice versa. We, however, need to address the issue of what happens, as Israel said, when we all go back to our home countries. And something Israel and we have been playing around with is the idea for an internet community surrounding the Caribbean Growth Forum, which then, so basically a social network that links everyone who has been here, everyone who has been involved, everyone from workshops, and yeah, well, to boost the initiative, but really create that collaboration that everyone is talking about. Do it so in the social sphere, so we can accountability. You know, we can see what is happening within specific territories. We can actually pinpoint to people. This was something in the breakout session they were talking about. Actually saying, okay, you know, it stops here with this guy. So this guy is responsible for a meeting with, let's say, a minister on a specific issue, so that we can figure out and we can map and track the progress rather than just saying that we should. Apart from that, I had an amazing experience here and with the staff of Compete Caribbean. They're very amazing people, and I look forward to maybe working with them to establish this community and working with the CGF in the near future with other endeavors as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Mi nombre es Álvaro Camaño de la República Dominicana.
I'm Álvaro Camano from the Dominican Republic.
Yo pertenezco a una organización cívica llamada Estoy harto, pero creo en mi país.
I am from an organization that's called Toy Hato. It's a civic movement in my country.
En esta organización nosotros trabajamos y enfrentamos las problemáticas sociales.
In this organization, we work with and we confront the different social problems in our community.
Participamos en foros, en discusiones, sometemos a funcionarios por corrupción y hacemos movilizaciones cívicas.
We participate in different forums, different meetings. We also talk about corruption, and we participate in all different kinds of meetings.
Y nos sentimos agradecidos de que nos hayan brindado la oportunidad de estar aquí.
And we're very happy that we were given the opportunity to be here.
Pero no me podría ir sin antes recomendarle varias cosas.
I cannot leave without, before I'm going, I recommend some things.
Yo creo que este foro ha sido sumamente efectivo, exceptuando que hace falta mucha participación juvenil.
I think that this forum was very great, except that it lacked the participation of many more young persons.
Quiero explicar mi punto con una parábola.
I would like to explain my idea with a suggestion.
Y es cuando un padre lleva a su hijo por primera vez a la industria de la cual él es dueño para que conozca lo que él hace.
Oh, it's with a parable. I'm going to tell you about a parable, sorry. It's when a father carries his son to an organization where he works, a factory where he works.
Y este joven se siente sumamente emocionado de estar ahí y conocer el negocio de su padre.
And this child is very proud to be there to know what is the business of his father.
Y de ahí en adelante quiere dedicarse a hacer exactamente lo que hace su padre.
And it's from that point onwards, he wants to dedicate himself to doing exactly what his father does.
Lamentablemente, su padre cree que él quiere el relevo.
Unfortunately, his father wants.
Quiere el relevo. Cree que su hijo quiere relevarle.
Oh, he wants that his father elevates him.
Y déjeme confesarle que no es así.
That his father is afraid of him replacing him.
That his father is afraid of him replacing him.
Y quiero confesarle que no es así.
And he would like to confess that it's not so.
Los jóvenes lo que queremos es demostrarle que tenemos el talento y la capacidad que ustedes no han brindado.
And we want you to know that we have the capacities and the abilities that you all have given to us.
Y por esa razón no tienen por qué temer de brindarnos una oportunidad de dirigir junto con ustedes.
And for this, we think that you shouldn't be afraid to give us the opportunity to lead alongside you all.
Nosotros no queremos relevarle, queremos acompañarles.
We do not want to get rid of you all, throw you all away. That's my words, eh? We want to accompany you.
Brindarle una nueva visión,
To give you a new vision,
más dinamismo
mass dynamism,
y juntos poder construir el sueño de toda una nación.
and together we can build a dream of all of our nations.
Así que espero que el próximo año haya muchos más jóvenes aquí presentes.
And therefore, I await in the next year there'll be a lot more young persons.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I don't think there's a lot to add to that, actually. But I want to use this one moment to thank you all very, very much. I've had a chance to talk to you briefly over this couple of days, and it's really, you're a bunch of impressive people. You have designers, photographers, civil society activists, really fantastic group of people. It's been inspiring for me. And I think what I really admire the most is that you were given one opportunity to come up here and talk, and you took it, you grabbed it, you jumped at it. And this is, I think really, this is what this is about. I hope this is what the forum is about, and that this is the future. Thanks. Okay, out of the program.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say one more thing, just to reiterate the point of us having a captive audience here. We had yesterday the CEO of Flow Jamaica, Michelle English. We have ministers of government, public and private sector representatives. We have all of the people here that can make this happen. I can't reiterate that enough. For our region to be connected, the internet plays an extremely key role. We can have a seminar in Antigua being shared across a network in Barbados, in Guyana, in Dominica, and in St. Vincent, in St. Kitts and Nevis, without having to fly that facilitator from country to country to country. It is possible. We can do it. We can make it happen. This is sharing ideas beyond what we're doing so far. This is making it work. We have all these people here as a captive audience. Let us use it. Let us make it work. And as Ingrid Riley said last year, at CGF 2012 at the Vice Chancellery of the Mona campus. She uses the Kingston Beta principle. They have tech meetups on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. We don't need to wait 1 year for this to happen. And this is where the internet can play a role. We can get together, we can meet up, we can make contacts, check in with each other, and we can get this process going virtually, organically, and we can make it happen.
Thank you, Israel. All right. Thank you again, Sarah. And sounds of voices, Caribbean youth, thank you so much. Come on, let's show them some appreciation for their contribution today. Awesome. Now, Andreas, you promised us a jam session, and when I hear jam session in the Bahamas, I think, music and dance. So as you leave, come on, give us some music and dance, please. Young people, come on, one more time. Give them a round of applause. We are nearing the end of our very exciting forum, 2 days of beautiful dialogue that I believe will manifest into great action and implementation of a number of things that we would have discussed. Coming now to talk to us about those next steps, Dr. Carla Barnett, again, the Vice President of the Caribbean Development Bank. Please welcome her as she comes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and weren't those young people just great? They were really, really fabulous, and it gives me a lot of positive anticipation about the possibilities from these kinds of exercises. Sometimes we don't take our young people as seriously as we should, and then I sit back and remember how I felt when I was young. and want it to be taken seriously. Okay, moderator wants to make a brief announcement, so let's do that, and then we'll get with the closing.
I do apologize. A special announcement for persons who are delegates of OECS. You're asked to meet with the governor for a short meeting immediately after the close of this session. And it's going to be held at the front of this conference room. So all, again, members of OECS, please, all delegates, meeting immediately after. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the 2 days proceedings, and we all want to maintain our high level of energy. So all protocols having been observed yesterday morning, good afternoon to you all. It is a privilege for me to say these few words on behalf of the institution supporting the Caribbean Growth Forum as we come to the end of these 2 days. But as I do, I make bold to say that this is not the end of a process, but rather the beginning of one. One that is characterized by real change and results, and one that says we will make a discernible difference in the lives of Caribbean people. I would like to thank the Bahamian authorities for the excellent support for this important event. Indeed, you did not disappoint. I am particularly thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister and his staff for having taken the leadership in organizing this event. Thanks to the CGF partners, Canada through CEDA, Caribbean Export, CARICOM, Compete Caribbean, who made a special contribution through facilitating all of the national consultations and providing all of the support for this regional launch, IDB, World Bank, DFID, and the University of the West Indies. If I have forgotten anybody, my deepest apologies. I want to thank as well all of the participants who have taken the time to be here for the last 2 days. You've made a lot of input at the national level, and you came and you contributed to this event and made it into the wonderful undertaking that we've been involved in for the last 2 days. Today we mark an important milestone in the CGF process. When the forum was launched in Jamaica last June, it was agreed by the participants, which included governments, representatives of the private sector, civil society, youth, and academia from all Caribbean countries, that the time had come to engage in action-oriented national dialogues around growth and development challenges, with the specific objective of identifying practical and implementable solutions that can be realized in the short and medium term at the national and regional level. The deliberations of the past 2 days are the tangible proof that we have come a long way and that we remain committed. Through a participatory process, concrete and actionable reform agendas have already been shaped in 12 countries, while 3 are preparing to kick off. The rationale behind this initiative is simple. Economic growth has been structurally low in the region. Most Caribbean countries experience significant economic contraction due to the global financial crisis and have had limited fiscal space to respond to this contraction because of accumulated high levels of debt. Many of the countries in the region have made significant efforts to address the impact of this crisis and have made progress on the structural reform agenda to put the economy back on track. However, the desired results in terms of growth have not yet materialized, and this is the concern for all of us. So how can we leverage the Caribbean Growth Forum to power the growth drive? It is clear that the CGF has introduced an innovative and more collaborative way of articulating public policy by means of an inclusive, transparent, and participatory engagement to debate and agree on the reform priorities for each country and for the region as a whole. Working groups in each country have been meeting regularly. Over 130 facilitated thematic meetings have taken place involving more than 2,500 people. And over yesterday and today, some key and powerful messages emerged from this dialogue. For instance, we know that inefficient and inadequate air and sea connectivity dampens competitiveness and retards growth. High cost of doing business is aggravated by weak and inefficient documentation platforms. More often than not, labor market issues reflect education deficits and institutional weaknesses, as well as a mismatch between industrial policies and education policies. Sectors talk at cross purposes, if you will. As we heard, some of the key questions to be asked and answered include, what are the target markets and products and services which are likely to be in demand in the near future for which we have some existing or potential capabilities? What are the key sectors and industries which countries in the region should be targeting for skills development and productivity growth? What are the institutional and skills gaps in the specific sectors and among select enterprises? These kinds of questions and answers all provide a platform and a basis to move forward with a growth agenda. When we embarked on this endeavor, we expected each country dialogue to lead to consensus on priority action plans to enable private sector development and concrete policy recommendations that would then be implemented by each country. From the deliberations here, I would say we have done well with the diagnostics and the action plans. The next step is to get on with the implementation. Of course, this is where the real hard work begins, where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. The tracking mechanism of the CGF should lend itself to easy monitoring of progress and measuring of results, for it is the development results and favorable outcomes that we all seek. However, we are aware that there is no magic recipe for growth. Financial resources, technical capacity, and political will are all necessary ingredients. But what we are emphasizing with this initiative is the importance of collective action. The coalition of actors that has formed in support of the CGF in the past months is a fundamental ingredient for making reforms happen. We launched the Caribbean Growth Forum together because we believe that if the appropriate conditions are in place, growth is possible even under difficult circumstances. As we enter into a new phase of the CGF, the multilateral institutions will facilitate and accompany the process of accountability and progress and will help to leverage the necessary resources to implement the reforms you have prioritized. Our country assistance strategies will have to be reviewed to reflect the priorities that have emerged through the national and regional CGF consultations. We are confident that the important work of the CGF so far will be the basis for a work program that will lead to tangible change in logistics, connectivity, investment climate, and productivity of our countries to induce the growth that is needed to create the jobs that our people deserve. The CGF partners, as well as the other institutions and development partners supporting the CGF, will continue to support the process during the new phase. But at the end of the day, it is the national consultations that will lead the process at the national level. We stand there with you, and I thank you very much for being here.
I have a man here that doesn't need further introductions. We miss the master of ceremony. He's our first casualties. After 1 year, it's really little one. Minister Kalis-Roll, please give us your closing final remarks. And on behalf of all of us, not only the institution I represent, I'm really thankful to the government of the Bahamas for hosting this event. And before you come to the floor, a big round of applause to the Bahamas.
Thank you so much. I'd like to convey on behalf of the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas his sincere thanks and appreciation for your attendance and participation in this event. It was a very interesting event for the Bahamas.